Grug needs new boots for winter hunting season. At the market, 2 options. Cheap boots, 20 teeth. Made from thin hide, simple stitching. Expensive boots, 100 teeth. Thick hide, reinforced stitching, known to last for years. Grug looks at the numbers. 20 versus 100, 5 times more expensive. Grug buys the cheap boots. Obviously the smart choice, save 80 teeth. 2 months into winter, cheap boots fall apart. Sole separates from thin hide in the snow. Grug buys another pair of cheap boots, 20 teeth again. These last slightly longer, 3 months, before falling apart too. By end of winter, Grug has bought cheap boots 3 times. 60 teeth total. And Grug's feet were cold and wet for at least 2 of those months while boots failed. Grug's neighbor bought the expensive boots at start of winter, 100 teeth. Neighbor's boots are still in good condition at end of winter. Will likely last several more winters. Grug spent 60 teeth and had cold feet. Neighbor spent 100 teeth and had warm feet with boots that will keep working for years. Grug looks at this honestly. If Grug's boots keep failing at this rate, Grug will spend far more than 100 teeth total, and still never get the warm, dry feet that neighbor has had the entire time. The cheap option was not actually cheap. It just had a smaller number on the price tag. Today Grug explains the difference between price and value and why both choices can be wrong in opposite directions. Let Grug introduce the tool that cuts through this entirely, cost per use. Instead of asking what does this cost, Grug asks what does this cost, divided by how much use I'll actually get from it. Cheap boots, 20 teeth, lasted roughly 2 months of regular use. Cost per month of use, 10 teeth. Expensive boots, 100 teeth, lasting an estimated 5 years, 60 months of regular use. Cost per month of use, less than 2 teeth. The expensive boots cost 5 times more up front, but less than 1/5 as much per month of actual use. Over any meaningful time horizon, the expensive boots are cheaper. This is the trap of cheap, low upfront price, but if the item fails quickly, needs frequent replacement, or performs poorly enough that you end up buying the better version anyway after wasting money on the cheap version first, the total cost over time exceeds the more durable option. Grug calls this the replacement cycle trap. Buy cheap, it fails. Buy cheap again, it fails again. Each individual purchase feels like the frugal choice, but the cumulative total quietly exceeds what the durable option would have cost from the start. Now Grug addresses the opposite trap, because buy expensive, it's always worth it, is just as wrong. Grug's other neighbor buys the most expensive boots available, not the 100 tooth pair, but a 300 tooth pair. These are advertised as having premium materials and a recognized name. Grug examines these 300 tooth boots closely and compares them to the 100 tooth boots. The materials are similar. The construction is similar. Expected lifespan is similar, maybe even identical. The 200 extra teeth bought a recognized name and some decorative details. Not additional durability, warmth, or function. Cost per month of use for the 300 tooth boots is roughly the same as the 100 tooth boots because the lifespan is similar. But the upfront cost was 3 times higher for no corresponding increase in use value. This is the trap of expensive. Price can reflect durability, but it can also reflect branding or features that don't matter. The mistake is assuming price is a reliable signal of value. Sometimes it is. Sometimes the extra cost buys nothing Grug needs. Grug's conclusion: neither price alone tells you what you need to know. What matters is the relationship between price and benefit. That relationship is cost per use, and it requires looking past the price tag in both directions. Now Grug applies cost per use beyond boots, because this framework extends well beyond physical objects. Subscriptions and memberships, A service costing 10 teeth per month that Grug uses constantly has a very different cost per use than an identical 10-tooth subscription that Grug forgot about and hasn't opened in 4 months. Same price. Wildly different value. Grug's regular review, mentioned in the budgeting video, is partly about catching these tools and equipment for hobbies or work. A tool used daily for years has a very different cost per use than an identical tool bought enthusiastically and used twice. Before buying based on price, Grug asks, realistically, how much will this actually get used? Investments and fees. A 1% fee sounds small, but cost per use here means cost relative to value actually delivered. If a low-cost index fund delivers similar results to a high-fee actively managed fund, the cost per unit of value delivered is dramatically different. Bulk purchases. Buying a large quantity at a lower per unit price is only valuable if the item will actually be used before it spoils. A bulk discount on something that ends up wasted isn't actually a discount. The cost per unit actually used is higher than it appears. Now, Grug's simple test before any purchase. Question 1. How often will I realistically use this based on past behavior with similar things? Question 2. If I divide the price by realistic total use, uses months, years, what's the cost per use? Compare this number across options, rather than comparing sticker prices directly. Question 3. For the price difference between options, what am I actually getting? Genuine durability or just branding and features I won't use? The cheapest option is often the most expensive over time. When low durability leads to frequent replacement, the replacement cycle trap. The most expensive option isn't automatically the best. Price can reflect quality, or it can reflect branding and unused features. Cost per use cuts through both traps by focusing on the actual relationship between cost and benefit rather than the price tag alone. Grug spent 60 teeth and had cold feet for 2 months. Neighbor spent 100 teeth and had warm feet for years. The number on the price tag was never the real number. The real number was always cost per use. Grug just hadn't been calculating it.